Yeah, I think to me, you can't talk about what the Cowboys should do without Dak Prescott without considering a few factors. One, CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons contracts, and two, Mike McCarthy and the future of the head coach and sort of the structure that they're running. I think on the contract standpoint, $59 million dollars as a cap hit seemed completely unrealistic, undoable until the salary cap came out. It was a $30 million bump from last year. And again, as one Cowboys person who I was talking to about this at the Combine said to me, well, we thought it'd go up 15 or so. So it's really more of a $15 million bump than a $30 million bump relative to what I expected. But every exec across the league that I talked to projected a lower number for this cap than actually came in. And so if there is a year to take a $59 million cap hit and give yourself some flexibility, it's this year. I mean, think about it, because if not, okay, if it's 15 above what they want, that's what, 45, 44. I mean, it's not as crazy as it sounds, particularly when you still have some of your stars on rookie contracts. I think what you run into is, what's the order of the contracts you want to get done? To me, like, you get CeeDee Lamb done this offseason. CeeDee Lamb was number one in receptions last year in the league, top 3 in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. He is reliable. He's a great locker room guy. He has been great with Dak. He's been great with quarterbacks in college. Like, he is someone who you need to lock up. And the only thing you gain by waiting is you're going to pay him more. And so I think that the Cowboys saw that last time, and they have a lot of deal inertia then. They had a lot of deal inertia now. I definitely think there's some frustration in the front office about some of that, of like, why aren't Jerry and Steven a little more adamant about getting things done? But to me, like, go get CD done. You're just going to pay him more. You know you want him. Mike is an interesting one, because I think that I was talking to a defensive coach from another team about this, and I was just trying to understand, because, like, on one hand, we see Micah's sack numbers, we see what he can do, but it's like, think about the biggest games that they had, the games against San Francisco, the playoff games. Like, what did Micah do in those games? And I had one coach tell me, when the Cowboys are winning, Micah's a Hall of Fame player. When the Cowboys need him most, he's pretty average. And I was asking, I'm like, okay, well, if he's taking off some plays, like, people say Chris Jones takes off plays, like, I still think he's worth the money. I still think he's helped the Chiefs to Super Bowls. And this coach, I think, wisely told me, Chris Jones takes off some plays, but he makes them when they matter most. Yeah. Micah is not 100% on all plays, but he kind of makes them when they matter least. And I'm not saying least, but he's not making them when they matter most. So I would say, like, you have to decide.
That sounds like the whole Cowboys team. That sounds like the entire.
I know. When I told this to someone in the front office, they started naming some other people on that roster. And I think there's something like culturally. So it's interesting. But all of this is to say, you kind of have like a split in the Cowboys front office. I definitely have people telling me in that front office, like, we believe in Dak. He's a great quarterback. He's the glue of this roster, the glue of the locker room. And no matter what coach we think we'll bring in, we believe they'll want to work with Dak. And you have other people who say, like, well, if we haven't gone over the hump now, how are we ever going to get over it? And if we can't get over it with him, like, what do we do? One last thing I'll say, and then I want to hear your thoughts on all of this, is I was talking to someone and I was like, okay, so if Mike doesn't work out this year, like, do you think Belichick is like in serious contention next year? And he goes, Bill Belichick would walk into our facilities, see all of the infrastructure around it, basically essentially see the country club mentality, the Dr. Pepper Keurig headquarters that overlooks the practice field, all of that, and be like, I can't coach here. And to me, that is the root of the problem with all of this. To me, it's not about, is Dak Prescott physically what he's able to do? I don't think you're going to find a better quarterback for the Cowboys than Dak Prescott in at least the next 5 years. And so if you're getting rid of him, what is your plan? I think that the issue is this sort of whole Cowboys infrastructure. And so then to me, you get into the point of, like, get CD done, decide if you want to do Dak now or in a year, because I think that you're not going to find someone better. And I think that Dak has shown he's willing to bet on himself contractually before. And so I don't think he's going to, like, hold out if he doesn't get the contract. I have questions about whether you should keep Micah long-term. That might be for another show, but I think it's really interesting. So